Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Welcome to the first day of patch 3.25 and the Settlers of Kalgur expansion. The league's been live for about 14 hours now, at least for those of us who play on PC. I do believe that console players had a much more miserable start to the league. And I wanted to go through some of the major things that have been found so far. We're going to be focusing not on changes to the core game. The only thing I want to mention there is just that the life roll increases were substantial. People weren't really sure whether it was just going to be the chess pieces that got a big increase and other slots got small ones. But here you can see this set of greaves that I've picked up just from a map. These have 100 to 114 maximum life as a single roll, and that is a tier 2 roll rather than being a tier 1 roll. This is pretty typical, other slots are similar. And so you can get belts, you can get boots, you can get gloves, you can get rings, you can get amulets with much higher life rolls than before. The main thing I wanted to talk about though is the things that have been discovered so far about the Kingsmarch content. Now, there are three main types of rewards that are coming out of the Kingsmarch content, and I'll quickly mention where they come from. Not everything is known about them yet. So firstly, there's a Runsmithing table. This allows you to apply enchantments to rare items, and some of these are quite significant in power. These can be very, very good, but they also cost these runes as a currency. And these runes, as far as I can tell, only come from sending off shipping missions. So you're going to need to be sending off ships frequently, and those ships are going to return with random loot and also with runes. These runes are going to be the primary thing you want from your ships, and they're going to be something you can't get very fast. So keep that in mind. You are going to be time gated on these runes, and that time gating is going to be significant. The other two types of rewards that you'll see here are access to Recombination. Now, Recombination is nerfed from what it was back in Sentinel, but we don't know all of the details yet about how it's been nerfed, and there's going to be a lot of things that'll have to be worked out over time as to exactly how that works. Grinding Games have explicitly said there's no Recombinator only mods the way that there were in Sentinel League, but there'll be a bunch of other things we'll need to work out as to exactly how this system works. This is funded through Thaumaturgic Dust. Thaumaturgic Dust is something that you get from ROG, and this is going to be a major pain point if you ignore the league mechanic until late. So we'll come back to that in a sec, but the third type of reward that you'll get is the boats. The boats, if you're not very lucky, this is the sort of thing that you'll get. This is a pretty typical reward ship here. This has a bunch of gumball currency, it's got a not particularly rare unique, and it's also got a pretty good set of gloves. It's definitely the case that there is a strong bias towards getting good rolls when you send things off on the ships, and the item levels of them can be fairly high as well. Anyways, you can take all of this, and then, who knows, maybe we just want to send off another ship at the same time. So I'll have a look and see what we can send off, and I've got a whole bunch of Crimson Iron bars that are in excess, so let's send off a bunch of those. It seems like sending a small amount of Thaumaturgic Dust tremendously increases this number, the shipment value. Not exactly sure what that does yet. That's the sort of thing we'll have to experiment with over time. And I'm going to send off just these two items, just the Thaumaturgic Dust and Crimson Iron bar, and we're going to try and find a port that wants them. So we'll have a look here. Pumpkin, oh, they want Crimson Iron here. They also want Petrified Amber, but I'm a bit short on that at the moment. So I'm just going to send this off to Nakano, and then we'll be good to go. Set sail, and this is going to take 42 minutes of real world time. And then when we come back, I'll get another shipment of rewards, probably reasonably similar to what you just saw then, and there may potentially be a few runes in it. So the reason that I recommend that you don't wait too long to come here is that there's a number of things that are time gated in this content. If we come over here to my mining information board, you'll see here that we're waiting on 287 pieces of orichalcum ore to get harvested. These have been found in maps. I've defeated the combat encounters that come with them, and they've been tagged by my miners, but those miners haven't actually gone and collected them yet. So this is going to take them about 40 minutes of real world time. Now, one of the things that will slow you down is that a whole bunch of the things that you need in order to get your town established come from Crimson Iron ore. So you're going to need to find Crimson Iron ore. You don't need a lot of it. You'll find it really easily during the campaign. But you're going to need to find this, and then that's going to then unlock the ability to process new things. So your workers will then be able to do new things because you've done a couple of things with them, and then that's going to unlock more and more options that they've got. The way that I recommend you handle this, come in here for the first time, if you haven't already, at the end of Act 7. By then, you'll have enough gold to start doing things quickly. The first thing you want to do is come and hire as many people as you can from Rolf the Recruiter here. Hire as many people as you can, don't worry about the individual stats they've got, That's something that the stats will improve on them anyway over time. So just come here, go to town recruitment, pick up anyone that looks interesting at all. And then for each of those employees, you want to set them to be doing something different to everyone else. This is the super mindless approach. It means that they'll all be harvesting different materials to each other. And it may not be the most efficient way to do things, but it's something that requires minimal thought, and it means that every different type of resource is being harvested. That way, when it turns out that you desperately need a specific resource, you may not have it yet, but at least you'll be on the way towards having enough of it. The first thing you want to do is set up a mining roster. And after that, you want to set up a farm. Once you've set up a farm, you'll pretty quickly be blocked by wheat. So you want to make sure that you've got a few people farming wheat and also have one person farming pumpkins because they'll be needed later. At some point after that, you want to come over and set up a smelter and then just have some of your idle people smelt different things to each other. That's the key thing. Everyone's working on something different. When you've done this, you'll pretty quickly get to a point that you're able to establish the Disenchanter. The Disenchanter is critical to get going, and the reason for that is the time delays on it. You'll see here that all of the other time delays we've been talking about have been short, but ROG's Disenchanting, this takes a long time. Disenchanting this dash tab here that you see is going to take 3 of my employees working together, a total of 7 hours, 13 minutes, and 3 seconds. And these are the best people I've been able to find for the Disenchanting job so far. Granted, they're not very good, and I'm sure that I'll get much better over time, but that should give you a bit of a sense that this is a major time delay. And the important thing is that this thaumaturgic dust, it's not just the fuel to use as a recombinator, but it's also the fuel to build a number of your buildings. So you'll see here, the reason I am blocked currently on getting my Atlas runners going is that I need 5,000 thaumaturgic dust to do that, as well as gold, which I can easily farm. And also Verisium bars. I have not seen Verisium ore appear below tier 5 maps, but I can't guarantee that it can't appear below them. That's just the lowest I've seen it in. So your key process here, all of the upgrades are good, you want to get them all done, and the order only matters if you're trying to extremely min-max it. But the key thing you want to do is just have every employee that you can be active all the time. Additionally, as much as possible, you want to have them doing different things to each other. And on top of that, you want to upgrade every building that you can. There'll be an optimum order for it. We don't know the optimal order for it yet. And honestly, it's not going to matter that much. Come here in Act 7, do everything you can, go back to clearing the rest of the campaign. Come here at the end of Act 9 and do another pass. Everything you're now able to update, do. Then at that point, go back to your campaign, finish it off, go and run a few maps. Then you come back here with a lot of gold because gold income really goes up once you start getting into maps. At that point, you'll be able to start affording costs like 10,000 gold, whereas previously 500 gold felt like it was a meaningful amount. At that point, you can then start working on some of these bigger upgrades, but there'll be a few of them that require things that are real bottlenecks. You want to have a bit of a sense in your mind of what's blocking you at the moment. For example, for me at the moment, in terms of upgrading my town, I am blocked by thaumaturgic dust. I am blocked because my workers are not yet able to disenchant things fast enough in order for me to make further progress. So the best approach that I can have there is to upgrade my disenchanter, which is going to, of course, require thaumaturgic dust to do. But going from 3 disenchanters to 4 is going to be approximately a 33% more multiplier to the speed at which I'm gaining this thaumaturgic dust. So it's definitely worth my while doing it. The other thing you want to be doing is constantly sending off boats whenever you can, because when you do get those boats back, you'll often find that they'll have the runes that you're eventually going to want in large numbers in order to pay for really top-end runesmithing crafts. This is something we'll learn more about over time, but every single one of these runesmithing crafts has been data mined, and if I can find it online, I'll put a link down in the description below to the entire list of all of these runesmithing enchantments. They are very powerful, including the absolutely bonkers one for two-handed swords that mimics the good effect of the unique ring Nimbus, projectiles return to you, but minus the drawback and minus taking up an entire ring slot and minus potentially being a very expensive boss-only drop. Instead, you can get Nimbus at home and you can get it on your two-handed sword in a slot that is otherwise very uncompetitive, i.e. your weapon enchant. Anyway, that's a quick overview. The key takeaways here: come here at some point during the back half of the acts and get things started. The quicker you get things started, the quicker you'll be able to throw a whole bunch of rubbish at Rog in order to get him disenchanting gear for you, and the quicker he starts disenchanting gear for you, the quicker you'll be able to stop being blocked by a lack of thaumaturgic dust early on. There's undoubtedly going to be a few new things that will pop up, and I'll probably learn a bit more about this tomorrow, at which point I'll aim to share that with you. Until then though, I'm going to leave it there. May your Varlorbs have interesting results.